Okay, so on to the very last track. I'm American now. Okay, I'm American. So on to the very last track of Jesse's Melody Quest. We've been listening to Atmosphere. I'm joking. Anyway, this is a 535 mini-series. We've been listening to an incredible artist. This is the very last track of this series. And like I said in my last reaction, man, this right now is the number one contender. This over here is winning. This series is currently winning. We're having a mini-series, so there's plenty time. But right now, this takes the top spot for me. This has been incredible. It's a brand new artist I've never heard before. Every song has been absolutely phenomenal. It's been absolute poetry. It's down the genre of music, which I absolutely love. The beats have been fantastic. It's all been substantive. There's no filler in this at all. It's fire. Right? My favorite song so far in this series has been that Camera Thief. Fuck, that song is absolutely incredible. If you're only joining us now, trust me, just go back one. But actually just go back to the beginning of the series and listen to all of it because it's unbelievable. This artist is going on my playlist. Literally now it's going on my playlist. I love this vibe. I love this kind of artist. So yeah, JC, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for requesting a 535 series. I always appreciate everybody that supports the channel and whatever else. But like I said, this is going to be a tough competition, man. It's going to be a tough competition. There's a lot of people that have going to put together some really good playlists. So it's going to be a tough one for me to judge. But right now, I say this one is on the podium. Let's put it that way. Okay, let's rock and roll, man. Let's wrap this up with the woman with the tattooed hands. Yet again, another one from Atmosphere. Let's wrap the series up. Let's go. I'm loving these fucking melodies, man.
I used to know this woman who had the most beautiful tattoos on the top sides of both of her hands. She was 43 years old, and as far as I know, had never yet been with a man. It's not that she wasn't attractive, she was beautiful, but it was the way that she interacted. She was aggressively passive, to the point where she would have intimidated any myth that ever tried to catch it. On the right hand, she had a tattoo of a nude girl. She claimed it is what God resembled. But on the left, she had a mirrored image of the same female, and this one, she explained, looked like the devil. I remember once watching her touch her own breasts, how the tattoo smiled as they stared down her stomach, as if anticipating when they'd be.
I love that he's actually playing into the stories of the tattoos and playing into the good and bad of the tattoos in terms of playing into people's just natural human nature, essentially. Beneath those tattoos tell a story, because beneath those tattoos is something absolutely pure. The flesh and blood was created by something powerful, right? And whether you believe, whether you're atheistic, even though I don't believe people are atheistics, there's no such thing as an atheist. You're going to believe in something, but it's basically how you see yourself beneath that. But why would you want to cover that purity? The only reason you would cover that purity, the only reason you would cover the great canvas that you were given, right, with something else, is because you're trying to either hide something, right, or tell a story that you never want to forget, right? Tell a story that reminds you of something, which is basically what tattoos are, right? It's the resemblance of something. Behind every tattoo is some sort of psychological emotion that comes with that tattoo. And even those YOLO tattoos come from a projection element, essentially. Even as like, oh, I'm just gonna get this because this is fun, or because of whatever else. There's a projection of something there. It's a projection of some level of insecurity. It's a projection of some level of pain. It's a projection of some level of joy, some level of like I always find it fascinating when, people tattoo their kids' names on their bodies, and I understand why they do that. It's like, oh, I love him so much, I'm gonna tattoo my kid's name on my body. It's like, why? Have you forgotten what your kid's name is? You'll never forget what your kid's name is, right? So they're trying to breathe more meaning into something that is you don't need to breathe meaning into. The fact that your kids are there and they exist with you, right, is meaning enough, right? So from a certain degree, it's an outward notion to tell people, look at me, this is how much I love my kids, instead of just being like, just love your fucking kids. Your kids are right there, right? Now, the psyche changes when you do that kind of thing, and let's say your child passed away or your mother passes away. That comes from a projection of pain. But a lot of the time, you'd find that that projection of pain is not something that's literally visible to you if you are getting a tattoo. That's why a lot of the times it's under the actual wrists, it's on the shoulder blades, or it's on the chest, and somewhere that you don't want it to be consistently visible, because the actual memory of it actually hurts you. So it's a really interesting psychological thing to sort of, and philosophical thing to look at in terms of, I find tattoos so fascinating, and what I think Atmosphere is doing over here is basically trying to say, you know, the fascination of those tattoos really tell a story of people's lives, not by the pictures themselves, by the very fact that they put something so permanent on their body, right? What was the outward projection of that? It's not actually, it's less about the actual artwork and more about what the artwork said in a particular either dire moment of their existence or in a particular blissful moment of their existence. So I think that's where he might be playing with that. But anyway, carry on.
Their stomach, as if anticipating when they'd be allowed to caress the sweet flower that they both seemed to hunger. Sweet flower. Now maybe I was high, but it felt so right. Heaven and hell both take to this woman's womb. It didn't make sense how she could commence touching herself with me wide awake in the same room. But if I've learned anything in my years, I've learned I no longer believe in surprise.
Okay, so I know what he's doing over here. He's basically saying he's either talking about a prostitute, right? So this woman is selling herself, and it almost feels like she has some sort of level of consciousness, as we all do, right? Sometimes it'll be hidden, and some people, so you know, we play those denials and we try to justify things out, right? But that's what I'm talking about in terms of like the story of a tattoo. It comes either through it comes through pain, or it comes through blissful ignorance, or it comes through it all has a psychological aspect to it that's connected to a level of insecurity or a level of sort of boastfulness, right? Both of which are not really great traits, essentially, but are human traits. But I like the way he's playing into like the demonic side and to the angel side, where there's good elements to this woman and there's bad elements to this woman, and she kind of actually understands that. She knows that about herself, right? So, and it's almost like by putting those tattoos on her hands that way, and not even, it's literally on the top of her hands, not even beneath, like here on the wrist where she's not usually seeing it, is that where she puts it over there is to remind herself that this over here with the angel is something to want to be, to aspire to, because that is the purity. That's where you as a human being wants to eventually get their peace. So you have to be connected to that goodness over there, right? But then the temptations come in, and that usually often overpowers the good, essentially, because you know, all of the decadences of life are a lot more appealing than the habits of life that add purity to your existence. You know, alcohol, sex, drugs, all those kind of things make you feel better, but they're cheap thrills. They're very sort of short-lived things. That's why you always want more of them, because they don't last long, right? The purity of life, or the things that really last long, the things that we really don't appreciate, are beautiful relationships, are family, are looking after your body, are doing things that really feed the soul, essentially. And I think that she's cognizant of that fact, and she's trying to remind herself of that fact, right? But then she still turns to the sinful side, either way, because we're all fallen souls to a certain degree. So anyway, carry on.
I no longer believe in surprise. But what happened next damn near stole my tears. The tattoos came alive right in front of my eyes. They both slowly stood up and climbed off her hands and showed me why she never took some time with a man. They climbed deep inside of this woman's garden. She closed her eyes and she gently bit her bottom lip. I stepped, I left, and I don't regret leaving. And I'll never forget all the things I saw that evening. A glimpse of religion, a piece of coming closer to understanding more about what intrigues me most. I didn't get turned on, I just got turned. I wasn't as aroused as I was concerned.
I like where he says a glimpse of religion, where he's actually playing a glimpse of religion in terms of, he's saying, he's speaking into the actual ethical side of it in terms of like a glimpse of religion, where he's like, he feels like I think he's playing into there should be a God, and if there is a God, why is there no God in this woman's life? And then he's also playing into his own existence, into his own life, saying that I actually, seeing what I've seen, seeing the darkness in this woman, actually makes me believe in something purer for myself, for my own life, essentially. So I think he's playing both sides of that godly thing, the negative thing of like saying like, you know, everyone espouses these godly things, but where's the God here? How can a God allow someone to go down this route, right? And then playing on the other side of that people go down this route and therefore that's why they need God. Do you know what I mean? So he's playing on the good and bad of that, the yin and yang of just human existence. Anyway, carry on.
Get turned on, I just got turned. I wasn't as aroused as I was concerned. For each one of them I've hurt, and every time I've been burned, I've got a lot to teach, but even more to learn. So now I keep my eyes open, hoping to take in all I can about woman, taking in all she can. And for as long as I breathe, I'll save a seat in my memory for that woman with the tattooed hands. There's good.
And just think about that in terms of when he's talking about tattoos, in terms of that tattooed woman, right? So she's almost like tattooed her fate onto her body, essentially. So she's tattooed, she's like stained to a certain degree, right? So she's left the mark on her own body, and by being with that woman, by observing that, she left a mark, right? A mark that is actually, it's a stain on his body, essentially. So he's like, I'll never, or a stain at least on his mind, essentially. Where he's like, I'll never be able to erase that, much like a fucking tattoo. I'll never be able to erase the vision of that in terms of a woman so beautiful who's never meaningfully been with a man and really experienced true love. She's just sold herself to people for their sort of licentious needs, and their temptations and things like that. And it's like, that's how much she's objectified and degraded herself. And by seeing that, that'll be a mark that I'll never be able to get off me. I'll always think about it. So it's almost like he's tattooed his brain with the very image of this woman, and he's playing that into the actual tattoos in terms of like, not only has she stained herself with her sins and some of her good points, right, but more importantly, she stained her soul, right? I think that's where he's playing with that. Anyway, carry on.
Leave a seat in my memory for that woman with the tattooed hands. There's good and evil in each individual, for I identifies needs and feeds our desires. As long as we keep our spirit inspired, she can bite her bottom lip all she wants. There's good and evil in each individual, for I identifies needs and feeds our desires. As long as we keep our spirit inspired, she can bite her bottom lip all she wants.
See, so as long as we pursue the good things in life, as long as we consistently feeding the spirit and the soul in a meaningful way, she can bite her bottom lip all her want. In terms of like, the biting of the bottom lip is almost seductive, it's sexual to a certain degree, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that, because that is a human characteristic, that is a human emotion, it's a human feeling, right? Being seductive and aroused, but being seductive and aroused by something meaningful, right? Having a relationship with somebody that actually means something, not selling yourself, right? So you can have those normal human feelings and emotions and arousals and amorous moments and things like that, as long as they're within the confines and the construct of something moral and virtuous, right? Then you can bite the bottom lip all that you want, right? Be as seduced as you like. Come on, man.
There's good and evil in each individual, for I identifies needs and feeds our desires. As long as we keep our spirit inspired, can bite her bottom lip all she wants. There's good and evil in each individual fight. Identifies needs and feeds our desires. As long as we keep our spirit inspired, she can bite her bottom lip all she wants. There's good and evil in each individual fight. Identifies needs and feeds
Unreal.
our desires. As long as we
Unreal.
keep our spirit inspired, she can bite her bottom lip all she wants.
Listen, this series has been absolutely incredible. Like I told you, this series is on the podium. First, second, third. Right now, I'm putting it in first place. Obviously, this could shuffle around, but right now, this series is in first place. Every single track has been amazing. Every single track has been substantive. So, Jesse, damn good job on picking the playlist over here. Damn good job on picking the artist over here. Definitely an artist I'm putting on my playlist personally for myself, because this is so down my alley, right? And yeah, you guys let me know what you think down below. This series has been absolutely epic. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you guys in the very next one. Peace!